My desire to get married is lower than my fear of divorce. So, as you had said, Dr. Brian, you said it, I didn't say it, I will agree. I'm just taking my time.
You're not taking your time.
I am, though.
You're being very action-based. You're not taking your time. You're being very action-based.
I'm taking my time.
You're being very action-based. You have 8 kids with 3 different women.
Yes.
You are creating, procreating, and multiplying. That is not taking your time. You're being very selectively active, okay? So you're creating, in disclaimer, the kids are innocent, they are beautiful and amazing. Anything I say has nothing to do with them babies, because I can't wait to be a mom, and I love the kids, period. But you are proactively choosing where you want to be active at and where you want to take your time. You want to take your time in having a wife because of your own fears. But you will, and I say this with all respect and love, what I'm about to say next, okay, Cam? But you will selfishly create broken families, even if you're in their life and you're a proactive father, and I believe you're an amazing daddy. I can only imagine with just your presence and knowing you thus far. But these families are still broken. Every child cannot have Papa in the house with them. So some child, if not all, will end up with some kind of deficit without daddy being there. Now, you chose to do that. I'm not saying you sat there and woke up one morning and said, I want to be selfish today, so I'm going to go make a baby. Not saying that at all. But those are selfish acts at the expense of your fear. So at what point do you feel the fear, do it anyways? And yeah, that is a low functioning behavior. To say that I am going to create these homes. Let me go better. I'm going to build these houses and put kids and these beautiful women and kids in them, but I ain't going to create a home in them. I'm going to wait till I dissipate my fear to find a wife where I'm still going to be fearful with, because there's no such thing as not having some type of nerve or some type of feeling behind marrying somebody who you're spending your life with. And then I'm going to build a home with her while all these other beautiful babies have houses. That's completely unfair and it's selfish.
Hello friends, my name is Yaya and I'm the imperfect adult. I serve as your guide through the messy maze of adulthood. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. If you are returning, you already know the drill. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. If you have not yet subscribed, please click that bell, turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of these conversations, and make sure you like the video before you head out. Thank you so much. Let's get into it. So, Cam Newton admitted that his fear of divorce is so strong that it shaped his entire approach to relationships. And in my opinion, the choice to have children is much more permanent than the choice to be married. What I'll add is most times a man can choose how much involvement he wants to have in a child's life, right? Like, there are no laws, no binding agreements that stipulate a man must care for his children. On the flip side, with the wife, Cam, a man, etc., would have to dedicate himself to the relationship and deal with very real consequences should he decide to walk away. Consequences like alimony and child support. I mean, Cam is rich though. Like, I'm sure he could put together a good prenup. Like, I think his fears are much more deep-rooted than his fears surrounding like alimony and child support. But it's interesting to think about, like, since in this interview, he talks so much about his parents' relationship and how much it shaped him as a man, and how his dad is all his mom knows, and how wonderful of a man his father is, and how great of a father he is, which is really interesting, right? Which leads me to wonder if his parents' marriage wasn't as rosy as he like tries to paint the picture to be. Like, what conditioning did he internalize that led him to be so very much afraid of marriage? And I know there's the added piece of him being a multimillionaire, him being a celebrity, but there are a lot of celebrities and a lot of multimillionaires that are married. So Let me know down in the comments, why do you think Cam hasn't gotten married to any of the 3 women that he shares his 8 children with? I'm curious on what y'all think about that. I wonder if he were to unpack that, what would his answer be? Dr. Brian had something really interesting to say about this, so let's check it out.
Which caused me to have to just self-reflect and take inventory on why do I behave like this, and why do I show up like this, and what is it rooted to, what is that associated to? And so for me, getting to the seeds of my harvest allowed me to really have a sense of self, of who I am, and where to come from.
Our upbringing, our conditioning, and all of our experience inform our lives in positive and in negative aspects. It's so important to regularly take inventory of where our decision making is coming from. Is it a place of fear, from a place of fear based on past experiences? Or is it from a place of healing, a place of love? In the first clip we watched, Cam said it plainly. My desire to get married is lower than my fear of divorce. And side note, I really feel like he thought he ate with that. I feel like he thought he was just so profound. I thought he was to be or not to be. That is the question. Anyways, because of his fear, he's made decisions that in the long run have very real consequences, right? And I know I just made a video talking about follow your dreams, but I just want to underscore something. Follow your dreams and live your life in the way you want to live your life, but please don't do that at the expense of other people. Please keep other people out of it. And in Cam's situation, being afraid of divorce, yet choosing to create broken homes is wild. Leave other people out your mess. And don't get me wrong, fear is a very natural emotion. It's there to protect us from danger. It's there to keep us safe. But when fear takes a driver's seat in our lives, it leads to us making irrational decisions that might feel right in the moment, but can have very real long-term consequences that either we did or didn't foresee, right? Decisions can be very real and very permanent, not just for our lives, but for the lives of others, in this instance. And let me know down in the comments, what has fear cost you in your life? What decisions has fear led you to make? And are there any consequences that were tied to that decision? Were there any opportunities that you missed out on in your life because of said fear? Let me know down in the comments. This is a great example of how fear can push us to act impulsively, to make decisions that are more about avoiding pain than about pursuing true happiness. Think about that for a second. How much more power and good energy do you think there exists in making a decision towards true happiness versus running from something? Right? Think about that. When you run from something, it's exhausting. It's painful. You're sweating. Your heart rate's pumping. You don't have energy to do anything else. But think about when you put that energy into pursuing something that truly makes you happy. It makes you feel fulfilled. It brings value into your life. It brings happiness, joy, a sense of purpose. So in Cam's case, this fear of divorce has driven him to create a situation where none of his children are growing up in a household with both parents. And don't get me wrong, I, am the product of a single parent. My mom raised me until I was 13 on her own. And I think I turned out I think I turned out pretty good. But there are some hard lessons I had to learn as a woman, as a child, as a teenager that I might not have had to learn had I had a strong male figure in the household. Had my father been there and present, right? So, like, while Cam might be an active and loving father, the reality is that his fear has led to him creating a fragmented family dynamic. Like, and that's just real talk. It is what it is. And, you know, there's no way to really sugarcoat that. Fear is like a shadow that looms over our decisions. It can keep us stuck. It can prevent us from taking risks, and in the worst case, it can leave us to make choices that we later regret. I would wager to say that 10, 20 years from now, we might get an interview with Cam Newton that is him sharing how much he regrets not being more decisive and mindful about how he grew his family. Let's see. Let's set a little timer. Let's revisit this, okay? But when we let fear control our lives, we're not living authentically. We're living reactively. Cam's fear of divorce isn't unique, right? Like, many of us feel failure, rejection, some kind of loss. But when we make decisions based on those fears, we often create and attract the very situation we're trying to avoid, right? Like, in trying to protect himself from the pain of a potential divorce, Cam has inadvertently created a different kind of pain. Broken homes, where his children may not receive the consistent, unified parenting they need, and honestly, that they deserve. Interestingly enough, Cam asks Dr. Bryant why she is still single.
Hard time to believe a very educated, a very attractive woman out of 41 years have not met Mr. Right. Mm-hmm. That's enough time to find a lot of things out.
I bet.
And yet, no kids, single. I'm not, but I am saying, are women's expectations unrealistic?
No, I'm going to say, like I said on Nick, the question shouldn't be why isn't a woman of age, of success, of a certain caliber not married with kids. The question should be why are people rushing to the altar just to become divorcees or baby mamas and baby daddies? I think if anything, we need to be teaching our society, take your time, young man or young woman, so that you can get to know not just this person, but yourself first, so that you can choose a life partner, not that that person isn't exempt to divorce, instead of rushing to the altar just to become a divorcee or a baby mama and have multiple kids by multiple women, just to say you have broken families everywhere. I don't see no benefit in that. I believe, like I tell my brother, he's in here, Shane, all the time, and who's 31 with no kids and doing well for himself, take your time. You don't need to rush to an altar just to divorce this woman. And another thing is people who actually feel high valued within themselves, not financially, internally they feel high valued. They're not rushing to have a wife or a husband at the expense of divorce just to feel like they've added value to themselves. Because it's a deficit if you're marrying for the wrong purposes. It is an asset if you're marrying from a place of creating a family, of creating stability, of raising kids who can see this thing move and this house not be homeless, but this house have wealth in it, the real wealth that actually sustains. And so for me, I'd rather take my time choosing than end up doing time because I'm making wrong decisions.
When I saw that clip, I wondered if that question was a little bit of projection, right? Like, you have Cam sitting in front of her, telling her that he's too fearful to get married, then turning around and asking her why she isn't married and doesn't have kids, as if there's something wrong with her. Huh? okay, bruv. What I appreciate about her response is her attention in highlighting how important self-discovery has been in her journey. Come through, sis, all right? I feel like as women, we are often pressured to conform to the idea that our worth and value is tied into being a wife or being a mother. And Cam's question was almost like an underlying tone of like, what's wrong with you? I myself have felt a lot of pressure. Like, being that I'm 30, unmarried, childless, like, I hear from my family members, and this is a new one for me. Like, when I'm in work meetings, like sitting at a table in the conference room, I feel it when I'm the only one at the table without a ring on my finger. Like, the only one that's like not married, right? But once I took inventory of like where that pressure was coming from, I realized that it stemmed from me holding on to the idea that marriage and kids would give me some kind of purpose, some kind of value, like value that existed outside of who I am, like being enough, right? And this fear caused me to stay in relationships that weren't right for me. To charade as what I thought the perfect wife should be. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like I took a little journey down the path to pick me, so don't judge me. I put a lot of undue stress on myself, like through my dating choices, okay? But when I discovered that, you know, my single parent upbringing had instilled in me this fear, and I was able to confront it, I processed it and I released it. Like, it's not like the fear just magically, you know, goes poof or anything like that, but I have comfortable thoughts now about being single, about being childless, and I feel that freedom really created space for those things to flow into my life when and if, you know, it's ever my time to have those things. So I just want to, you know, appreciate myself for doing the inner work, because baby, it's not easy. Confronting your chateau self is not easy, okay? But it is very, very healing, all right? So how do we overcome fear and make better decisions? It starts with acknowledging the fear, with naming it. Hey, baby. So how do we overcome fear and make better decisions? It starts with acknowledging the fear. Like, you literally have to name it and work on understanding where it comes from. And this can be a very painful process, because a lot of the times we like to stuff trauma and negative life experiences deep down, but a lot of the times the fear is connected to that. So when you go searching and digging, trying to understand where that fear comes, just know that there's a very real possibility that you're going to re-traumatize yourself. You're going to dig some stuff up, right? So like, this is a journey, baby. Like, be patient with yourself. It's not easy, okay? But we got to understand how this fear is influencing our choices. And once we recognize the role fear is playing, we can begin to challenge it. Instead of letting fear dictate our actions, we need to ask ourselves, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? What decisions would I make if I were truly living in alignment with my values and with my authentic self? For Cam Newton and for anyone struggling with fear, the challenge is to step back and reflect on the bigger picture. What kind of life do you want to create? What legacy do you want to leave? And are your current actions leading you closer to that vision? Or are they just a way to avoid dealing with your fears? This lesson from Cam Newton's story is clear, honestly. Fear, if left unchecked, can lead us to make decisions that don't serve us in the long run. But the beautiful thing about life is that we don't have to be controlled by fear. We can choose to face it, to understand it, and make decisions that are grounded in love, authenticity, and a true desire for what's best for ourselves and those we care about. Living authentically means making decisions that align with your values, not your fears. It means creating a life that reflects who you really are, not who your fears are pushing you to be. Thank you for watching, and if this message resonated with you on any level, please like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might be struggling with fear. Honestly, it's probably about 5-10 people you can share this video with. So go ahead and click that share button and share it to 5 of your friends, and let's get this conversation started, okay? Let's continue to support each other on this journey of self-discovery and intentional living. Thank you so much for being here. Never give up on your dreams. Peace.